world hunger because they thought that they could produce more. But the problem is that they're not researching this. They're just putting out products and they're using us as guinea pigs.
So what you're saying is that they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah,
and
this book is full of the cover-ups. Right, here's one.
That word, cover-up.
Yeah, here's one for instance. This scientist, this is probably where it really started to gain momentum, especially in Europe, because Europe has banned these a while ago. But there's a scientist, his name is Pt2, and he worked for the Rowlett Institute of Scotland, and they asked him to create a model to test GM food and to verify its safety. And so basically, he created this model, and he recognized what his project was a potato that had lectin in it, which lectin itself is not harmful, but he did a study, and basically he took potatoes where he injected lectin by itself, ones that had the genetically modified, and then the regular potatoes, and it was only the...
Now, what is lectin?
Lectin is... I believe that it is like a natural found bacteria. So that's the thing. All of this necessarily isn't, like synthetic things that they're doing. But the problem is that when they're messing with DNA evolves on its own. So they're doing these things not really aware of the outcomes of how the DNA is going to change. And that's what this scientist found, is that when the potatoes with lectin in it alone were fine, but the genetically modified ones, it changed the protein content of the potatoes. It increased new allergens in the potato, because when that DNA was blasted into it, it changed its genetic expression. So that's the problem, is that these things can evolve on their own. Our bacteria is always evolving, but this is the first time in history where we're actually doing it ourselves. So these things that have evolved over millions of years, we're just forcing it to happen. And when we're putting fish DNA into our tomatoes, it wouldn't be surprising if one day, they sprout gills or something. And that's like funny, but the implications are much worse than that. It's the main thing, or one of the main things, is the food allergies that this is producing. It's producing new allergies to food, which, personally, I've spent so much money trying to clear food allergies of my own.
Right.
It makes me really angry that, one of the culprits is food that I'm eating, and it's not labeled that way for me to know, what I'm choosing.
Wow. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what food allergies do you have?
Wheat is a big one.
You're allergic to wheat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
and that's wheat. I don't really recommend that to a lot of my clients, and it's mainly because it's so genetically modified. It's not the same wheat that our moms ate, 50 years ago, because if you think about it, back then they ate biscuits and pancakes and everything, and we didn't have the obesity problem that we do now.
Right.
And that's one of the things that they think has contributed to that, is because they're genetically modifying it. I have some brochures here I can show you that has... Look at the pictures of these rats on there that were fed some of these genetically modified. They've produced tumors like infertility, cancer in the digestion, all types of side effects. And they know this. And in this book, it literally talks about how scientists have been asked to change their data to favor the companies, because right now the FDA only requires that the company proves the safety of its product, which means that Monsanto can hire its own scientists and produce its own results, which, if anybody realizes, if you go, to the drawing board with a certain outcome in mind, you can make, the study appear how you want it to.
Wow. So these are...
And do you see on the other one, there's pictures of some men's arms? That's farmers that were using the crops. There's been all over where in like livestock, like entire herds of cattle will die that have eaten these products, or even more so, if animals are given the choice to eat the genetically modified version or the original version, they will never ever go for the genetically modified version. In fact, in some of the studies, they had to.
So the animals are smart.
Yes, in fact, they've literally had to. In some of the studies, they've had to literally inject the animals with it because the animals will refuse to eat it.
Well, as human animals,
exactly,
we are not refusing to eat it because we don't know.
Exactly.
Wow, this is Man, this is some good stuff.